going on there, guys? Good evening. Good Monday evening. It is April 18th, 2022. About 6:30 p.m. California time. Latest quake on the globe shows a 2.7 earthquake on the big island of Hawaii. Let's go ahead and check out this latest movement here on the USGS. Kind of want to start over on the west coast, Southern California region, into parts of Baja, Mexico as well. Seeing a little bit of swarming activity down here off of the Imperial Fault. Looking at quite a few 2s and 3s, and I'm sure quite a few 1s in the mix as well. Imperial Fault, of course, runs up here into the Southern California region, where it extends into the Brawley seismic zone, the extensional system of the San Andreas Fault, which sits here. Southern segment. I'm just reading an article on that thing here. I believe there's about 30 feet of strain built up here since the last big full rupture of the southern end of the San Andreas Fault back in 1690. They believe that's the last time that thing had ruptured. So yeah, a little bit of stress built up there for sure. Looking at the San Jacinto Fault zone, seeing a little increase in movement here around just to the west of the San Jacinto Fault zone. A little swarming activity here in the reservation land. It looks like quite a few microquakes out there, about 15 or so scattered about in that region. Backing out of here towards the Los Angeles area, a little bit of movement out here around the looks like the La Habra area. A couple small microquakes in that region as well. There's a ridgecrest activity starting to fill in a little bit there. I don't believe we've seen anything above 2.5. It's all in the microquake range there around the ridgecrest region. Some movement up around the Nevada area as well, up around the Mina, Nevada region, and throughout the eastern part of Sierra Nevada, just south of Lake Tahoe. All seen some microquakes up here into the Northern California area off the coast of Ferndale. Got a 2.8 coming in, pretty shallow earthquake at about 10 kilometers or so, right on the Pacific side of the plate boundary. Of course, you got the Gorda Plate up here, and Pacific Plate south here of this plate boundary. A little bit of movement taking place there. Let's go ahead and check out the latest tremor map here for the Cascadia subduction zone, and they don't have anything keyed up here yet, so I'm not even certain if we're going to be able to see it. This is yesterday's data. Had about 42 epicenters of tremor here in Northern California, again at the southern end of the Cascadia. So we'll have to just keep checking back on that. Like I say, it probably won't be, today's data won't be visible until tomorrow. I'm not liking that. It used to be ready around this time of evening. Southern Idaho did see a little bit of activity out here, close to the Wyoming line. Some microquakes scattered out and about the area. Yellowstone National Park, we'll go ahead and check out the regional view of Yellowstone, and there's not a whole lot going on out here, folks. I don't see too much earthquake activity in this region. Rest of the country, not a whole lot going on out there either. Midland area, seeing a little earthquake here, 2.5 at 5 kilometers out there in the, well, you got it. Go ahead and read the map for yourself, folks. Backing out of here, looking at the rest of the world. We'll go ahead and check out the hot spot here, Hawaii. Seen some movement within the last hour. A couple quakes up here on the Mauna Loa area. 2.1 seems to be the magic number. A couple microquakes there, and also north of, well, northwest of Mauna Kea, 2.7. Looks like it's inland, but 10 kilometers below the surface there. A lot of times we do see some deeper movement up there due to the crustal bending and whatnot of the plates up here, or the plate, the Pacific Plate. Southeast region, a little bit of activity, nothing significant, but we'll see how that changes in the coming hours here. We did have some activity off the coast of Japan. Actually, it looks like it's inland there. 5.3 at 98.1 kilometers deep into this subduction zone here, known as the Japan Trench, the Kuro-Kamchatka Trench northward. One earthquake. Looks like this one's pretty deep here into that subduction zone, a 4.8 at 129 kilometers down into the area. Still seeing some swarming out here in the area of the Philippines southward through the Solomon Islands region. Looking at a pretty good cluster of quakes, 2s, 3s, and quite a few 4s and 5s in the mix as well. Some movement outside of Manila here along the Philippines. Looks like a couple 4s, upper 4s in the area. Pretty shallow movement here though, about 10 kilometers. Over here around the Vietnam area, seen a 4.8 10-kilometer depth for that earthquake. We are, like I said, we are starting to see, well, I mean, the swarming area, this whole area has been underneath quite a bit of swarming lately over the past 24 hours, 36 hours or so. Still waiting for some possible larger scale movement. We'll have to keep an eye on that area pretty closely. Down here in the Solomon Islands itself, got a bunch of 5s. Continuing the swarming movement in that area. One area that has not seen any further movement here in a couple days is the Fiji area. Tonga Trench, Kermadec Trench area. Lacking large, deep movement here. Nothing going on here at the subduction zone either along those trenches. South America, about the same. Nothing going on here for the 4.0 and above map. And just kind of a little quiet activity going on here with the plates currently there in those regions. Up here in the Arctic Circle, outside of the Greenland Sea, seen a 4.3 in the Norwegian Sea. Looks like a 10-kilometer depth there for that earthquake. And aside from that, wow, not a whole lot going on. I expect that to change though. Let's go ahead and check out Earthquakes Canada, see if anything's moving up there in the northern part here of the North American plate. And it looks like still just that earthquake here from, what, 3 or 4 days ago now, from the 15th. Had that 1.3 at 5 kilometers up there in Alaska. Aside from that, nothing being shown here on the Earthquakes Canada map tonight. Let's see what else we got. The solar weather activity still kind of the big topic currently. As we look at these sunspots rotate into view, this is a massive amount of just a large coverage area here on the sun. I can only imagine the size of this compared to Earth. Probably fit many Earths into that giant sunspot. 2994, formerly 2975, has given us 2 X flares recently, and I'm sure possibly more to come. 2993 up here as well. So just kind of a giant combined sunspot, and this thing is huge. Let me tell you, looking at this map here, you can see it. Looks like it's growing as well. I'm going to watch this pretty closely in the coming days as this rotates into the Earth view. It is crackling with some C flares and some lower grade M flares. I think it's only a matter of time before we see another X flare pop up here. This is the GOES X-ray flux 1 minute data, 3 days. Looking back here, of course, we had that X flare kick off on the 17th, along with a couple M flares. See these ones right here reaching the M flare status, just barely, but definitely seen quite a few over the last 24 hours. Looks like we are on a decline, but don't let that fool you, folks. Okay, we've seen declines before that pops right back up. So just because it's starting to go below the sea level, well, not sea level, but the sea flare level, that means that we could start to see things really ramp up here from that sunspot, which is, man, it's beautiful. Definitely is beautiful. And it's huge, let me tell you. So looking at, of course, 99% chance of C flare. M flare stands at 75% chance. X flare currently at 25. M flare 75. Yeah, just like that. Storming conditions right now, as far as the aurora or any CMEs, wind speeds and whatnot. As far as storming goes, not looking likely here over the next couple nights. Got a consistent green light across the board with nothing really expected, folks, on the storming. But we will see what happens. Let's see. These guys mentioning anything? Nothing that we already know. Additional M flares will be possible during the next 24 hours with a smaller chance for an isolated major X flare. That was put out this morning. But yeah, definitely pretty crazy. Maybe this thing's gearing up, saving its energy for a direct bullseye hit as it rounds a bend and faces the Earth here in the coming days. Let's see. I think that's about it, guys. not a whole lot else going on. Let's go ahead and check out some volcanoes up in the Cascades, see if anything's going on up here in Mount St. Helens. Nothing really showing up here on the seismograph view from the PNSN network, but we will check this 3-component station out. Let's see if they're reporting any data. Oh man, there's that view again I just don't really care for. Let's see here. Yeah, not a lot going on. Look at that. There's hardly anything. Looks like this one here was a couple days ago or so. But no spikes on there. And you guys know what earthquakes look like. There's nothing going on here over the past 30 hours, it looks like. We can go back here a little bit further. And these are the earthquakes that we would be looking for. And the very small ones. Very, very small. But that was, like I said, a couple days ago. So we haven't really seen too much movement there. In terms of microquake activity at Mount St. Helens. So we will keep an eye on things, folks. Remember, 30 feet of possible built-up pressure here since about 1690. You got to keep that in mind, folks. 1690. What has happened since 1690? Quite a bit. Well, politically, right? But also stresses down here with all the large earthquakes around this area, you know, in the recent times, and the 1700 earthquake up here, the Cascadia. I don't have a strong feeling about this thing here. It's building up. We know it's building up, but something's been popping in my mind lately about this area of the southern part of the San Andreas Fault, and that's you know, it's a matter of time. GPS data does show. Obviously, slip rate continues here in this region, and it's only winding up like a spring. You can only get it so tight, right? So any kind of swarming, even if it's, I get it, it's what, 30 miles away, 40, 50 miles away, 60 miles away, somewhere around there, the swarming activity is. But any type of major swarming or any type of larger earthquake around here could unjolt it. It depends on the dynamics, how built up this thing is. I think it's pretty much at its maximum here. You know, an 8.1 magnitude, a possible earthquake on this area of the San Andreas Fault. It's going to happen. I've been having these strange feelings about it recently. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. It won't be a good day for the folks down there, that's for sure. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Whoa, what do we got coming in here? Ooh, a 6-pointer. See that coming into the live seismographs here in the Japan region. Actually, it looks like it's just, there's that earthquake activity we're looking for, right? There's that movement we were kind of looking for with all that clustering of earthquake activity. We've finally seen a 6-pointer pop up here in the area that we were just talking about. Looks like it just occurred. I see the P waves kicking off here in the Japan station. That's a pretty significant earthquake there. 6.0, at least showing up on the EMSC model. Kind of want to see what the USGS is going to put this as. Let me go ahead and check the EMSC once again. But it's right there in that area that we've been talking about here since the update. Since we started this update. So 6.0 looks like this thing kicked off there in the Philippines at a depth of about 60 kilometers or so 20 minutes ago. So probably about the time when I first started. It looks like maybe possibly when I first started this update. Sometimes it takes EMSC a little bit to get to, but also it takes a little bit of time for the USGS to get to as well. 6.2. So a little bit of an upgrade there from the USGS into the Philippine Trench. Remember, I was just talking about that this morning. Watch the trenches. Watch the trenches with all this surface quaking in and around the area. I think that's a direct bullseye hit for sure. And it's kind of crazy. All right, guys, we're going to jump off here. Hope everyone has a good night. I don't believe there's any type of tsunami statement from the 6.2 that just struck, but yeah, nothing showing up there. All right, guys, 6.2 earthquake, Philippine Trench. We will chat you guys a little bit later. Stay alert and be prepared.